Everybody's talking about Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje, but the real chaos at UFC Freedom 250 might happen one fight earlier. Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane is flying under the radar, and that's insane. We're talking about a potential three-division UFC champion facing the most elusive heavyweight striker alive. And somehow, nobody's treating this like the blockbuster it is. This fight matters way more than people think. First, it could reshape the heavyweight division overnight. Second, it might decide Jon Jones's future without him even fighting. And third, this is happening at the White House. The pressure, the spotlight, the history, all of it changes things. By the end, you'll understand why this co-main could steal the entire event. Because here's the weird part. Alex Pereira wasn't even supposed to be here this fast. Less than 4 years ago, Pereira debuted in the UFC at middleweight. Now he's potentially one win from becoming the first three-division UFC champion ever. That's absurd. Pereira already captured the middleweight belt against Israel Adesanya at UFC 281 in November 2022. Then he moved up and knocked out Jiří Procházka for the light heavyweight title at UFC 295 in 2023. After that, he defended against Jamal Hill and Khalil Rountree Jr. Now he's jumping to heavyweight against Ciryl Gane for the interim belt at UFC Freedom 250 on June 14th. And stylistically, this fight is dangerous for Pereira in a completely different way. Gane isn't a brawler. He's not Derek Lewis. He's not Tai Tuivasa. He's a heavyweight kickboxer with footwork that honestly looks illegal at 265 pounds. The man barely gets hit clean. He dismantled Tai Tuivasa at UFC Paris in 2022. He outclassed Jairzinho Rozenstruik. He even gave Francis Ngannou problems standing up before losing a decision through wrestling. That's the key. Wrestling beat Gane. Pereira doesn't wrestle. So now this becomes a pure striking match between two elite kickboxers under the brightest lights possible. That's terrifying for everyone involved. And here's the scary question nobody's asking. What happens if Pereira can't find the left hook? Pereira's aura comes from pressure. Every opponent freezes eventually. They panic. They back up. Then the left hook lands. But Gane doesn't react like normal heavyweights. He glides backward. He resets angles. He stays calm. If Pereira starts chasing, Gane could turn this into a technical nightmare. But there's another layer here. Pereira might actually hit harder at heavyweight. That sounds crazy until you remember how drained he looked cutting to 185. Even at light heavyweight, Pereira looked healthier and more explosive. Now imagine that power without a brutal cut. One clean shot could end the fight instantly. And Gane has shown vulnerability before. Francis Ngannou dropped him. Tai Tuivasa rocked him badly in Paris. Even Sergey Spivak caught him during exchanges. So while Gane might be the cleaner technician, Pereira is carrying nuclear weapons in both hands, which raises the biggest mystery of this entire event. How does Ciryl Gane handle real danger now? Remember, Gane's been close to the top for years. But every time the belt gets near him, something goes wrong. Francis out-wrestled him at UFC 270. Jon Jones submitted him in just over 2 minutes at UFC 285. That Jones loss especially damaged his reputation. Fans started calling him soft. Some even questioned his mentality. That's harsh, but perception matters in this sport. Now Gane gets another title shot, another giant stage, another moment where people doubt him. And honestly, this might be his hardest matchup yet. Jon Jones exposed his grappling. Pereira threatens his confidence. That's different. Pereira forces mistakes because fighters become scared to exchange. We've seen it repeatedly. Adesanya froze. Procházka got reckless. Jamal Hill stood directly in front of him and paid for it. If Gane starts fighting cautiously, Pereira wins the psychological battle immediately. But if Gane actually stands his ground and throws combinations, this becomes one of the highest-level striking fights heavyweight has ever seen. And there's one detail making this even crazier. This entire card happens outdoors on the White House lawn. Outdoor fights affect timing. Air resistance sounds small, but fighters mention it constantly. The atmosphere feels different. Dana White even admitted they're dealing with possible gnat issues around the venue. No joke, imagine Pereira loading up on a left hook while bugs swarm the cage. This event already feels surreal. A temporary arena, military guests, national attention, a fight card built like a movie script. And weird environments usually create weird outcomes. That benefits the calmer fighter. Usually that would mean Gane. But Pereira has become terrifyingly composed under pressure. The guy walked into Madison Square Garden against Adesanya and flatlined him after losing early rounds. He went to Salt Lake City and knocked out Prochaska despite breaking his toe before the fight. Pereira almost seems more dangerous when the moment gets bigger, which brings us back to the original point. Why is nobody talking about this fight enough? Maybe because the main event is louder. Topuria and Gaethje guarantees violence. That fight sells itself. But Pereira versus Gane has something rarer. Uncertainty. We genuinely don't know what happens. Does Gane dance around Pereira for 5 rounds? Does Pereira land one shot and create another viral knockout? Does the winner call out Jon Jones immediately? Does Tom Aspinall get screwed again? Every outcome feels possible. And honestly, this fight might define the UFC's next 2 years. If Pereira wins, he becomes the biggest active star in combat sports overnight. 3 divisions, multiple championships, highlight reel knockouts. The UFC would market him like a superhero. If Gane wins, heavyweight suddenly becomes chaos again. Jones, Aspinall, Gane, Pereira, all connected in one massive title picture. That's why this co-main matters so much. It's not just another fight. It's a fork in the road for the entire UFC heavyweight division. And my prediction? I think Pereira finds the shot eventually. Gane will have success early. The movement will frustrate Pereira. People online will start saying Pereira looks slow at heavyweight. Then Pereira will trap him near the fence once. Just once. And that's all he needs. Because Pereira doesn't need sustained dominance. He needs one opening. And when Pereira gets one clean opening, people usually wake up staring at arena lights. So while everyone obsesses over the main event, don't be shocked if the co-main becomes the fight everybody remembers from UFC Freedom 250. Who do you think wins? The technician in Ciryl Gane or the nightmare power of Alex Pereira?